Science of Synthesis, your expert guide to making molecules. The purpose of this video is to give you a brief introduction to science of synthesis and to show you how you can use it to help with your research.
The Science of Synthesis series, which has been an essential part of our laboratory's library for a very long time now. We use the online version, we use the text one, as you can see right behind me. And it has been a really integral part, at least of my life, in the way I go about brainstorming for projects in the laboratory, finding literature which is sometimes very obscure and hard to find on SciFinder, or for solving very difficult consulting problems. So I'm really grateful to Team A for putting together this amazing series and continuing this wonderful tradition. It's a huge help to the community. Fantastic trove of information which you may not be able to find anywhere else, and it's so beautifully organized, and thank all the contributors over the years for their diligence and hard work in putting this together.
Hi, my name is Margaret Fahm. I work at Amgen, and I've been a member of the editorial board of Science of Synthesis since 2018. I would like to take this opportunity to congratulate and to thank the Theme A and Science of Synthesis team, the editors, and all of the authors who have contributed through the scientific community through the publication of this journal. As you're aware, the Science of Synthesis occurs in both hard copy and online versions, and for me, I find it's really well organized and it's easily searchable. It provides critical reviews of organic chemistry transformations, but also a feature which I particularly like is it provides the detailed experimental procedure for performing many different reaction types, which is extremely valuable whether it's a new chemist starting in the lab or an experienced chemist that's working in an academic or an industrial setting. Science of Synthesis over the last 20 years has truly become that foundational single source of truth for organic chemistry transformations, and has been an amazing contribution to the scientific community.
Hi, this is Shuli Yu from SLC. Science of Synthesis is a unique reference work which covers all methods of organic synthesis, offering the full text descriptions of organic transformations together with validated experimental procedures. I really like this feature, which saves us a lot of time during our research. The online version is also really amazing and entirely searchable based on the structures, substructures, and reaction types.
Science of Synthesis is the largest collection of evaluated organic synthetic methods available worldwide. It gives you access to more than 20,000 reliable synthetic methods that have been evaluated and reviewed by world-renowned experts. It is an author-written full-text resource rather than just a database. This means it's not just a huge collection of unconnected molecules and reactions, but has a logical structure that enables you to navigate through it easily. So why choose Science of Synthesis? A community of experts means quality and reliability. They are giving you unique insights into the science, the tips and tricks to solve your synthesis problem. By getting a quick overview of a new subject area, you can save time when planning a synthesis. The practical procedures are immediately applicable in the lab and give you an idea of the reagents and equipment you'll need. The methods are organized logically according to the functional group or core product that is made, and this puts the methods in context and is also helpful for consulting and teaching. In a nutshell, some of the questions that Science of Synthesis can help you answer are: what is the best way to make the molecule or functionality I am interested in? What is the background and context to the field of research I am interested in? What are the experimental conditions like? Am I going to need specialist equipment? Is there anything I need to consider or avoid when making the molecule or functionality I'm interested in? The Science of Synthesis editorial board, led by Professor Förstner, are world-renowned organic chemists from all over the world, from both academia and industry. These people, together with the editors and authors they appoint, drive Science of Synthesis and decide what should be included and where the focus should be. Some 2,000 editors and authors have been involved in Science of Synthesis to date and can be found on the author map at tema-chemistry.com. Science of Synthesis is unique in that it provides critical reviews on synthetic methodology in organic and organometallic chemistry. It is organized systematically and logically based on the product, specifically the main functional group being made, and it is structure and text searchable online. Chemistry doesn't stand still though, so we are always adding new reliable synthetic methods, expanding on the scope of existing methods, adding new reagents and conditions in the Science of Synthesis knowledge updates. The reference library complements the core content by focusing on subjects of particular interest without constraining it by product. The functional group you make is secondary. It's the type of method you use to get there that is the important thing. So, what can I do with reagents of type Y rather than how do I make functional group X? Recent reference library titles include photocatalysis, flow chemistry, dual catalysis, and the application of boron reagents. The organizational structure of the core of Science of Synthesis is based on the type of molecule or functional group you are interested in making, whether that be organometallic, a heterene, a particular functional group, or a hydrocarbon, and we'll see this later in the product demonstration. Of course, we realize that this type of organization doesn't fit with all areas of chemistry, so to complement the core product-based structure, the special hot topics in the reference library focus on methodology or on important techniques or technologies. The key point about Science of Synthesis is that it presents chemistry in context. Each full-text article has the same basic layout, making Science of Synthesis very user-friendly. As well as discussion of the synthetic method, the scope and limitation of the reactions are discussed. Where possible, Science of Synthesis includes the full preparative details for each reaction and, of course, the relevant literature. The reviews in Science of Synthesis are text and structure searchable in the electronic product. At sos.tema.com, on the home page, you see various tiles on which the different types of product are displayed. As mentioned before, Science of Synthesis is based on the type of product you want to make. So here we have the tiles grouping organometallics, heterenes, hydrocarbons, and all the functional groups in between. By mousing over any of the topics listed, you see a graphical representation, a summary of the types of product that are covered in each volume. Clicking on any link on these tiles takes you to the Explore Contents tab, where you can browse. As an example, let's say you're interested in making an aldehyde. By clicking into the link, you are taken to the Explore Contents tab, where you see all the various types of aldehyde. So let's go further. Let's say we want to make an acyclic aldehyde, and let's make it by oxidation, an oxidation of a primary alcohol. Now we see several routes via the oxidation of primary alcohols, but also see that there are other ways to get to an aldehyde by oxidation too. Within this first method, which uses chromium reagents for the oxidation reaction, tips and tricks are discussed in the text. For example, using a polymer-supported reagent to ease purification, or the addition of acid to speed up the reaction, the need to maybe buffer the reaction if your substrate is acid sensitive. These points are scattered through the primary literature, but here everything is gathered in one place. If we scroll through the method, you see tabulated examples in the schemes showing the scope of the reaction, experimental procedures, where appropriate with safety information, and of course references to the primary literature which you can access by clicking on the link out, which takes you to the original literature at the publisher website. You can download the whole chapter by clicking on the first button, in this case the synthesis of aliphatic and acyclic aldehydes by oxidation, and to just download or print the section you are currently looking at, click on the printer symbol. If you use citation management software like EndNote, you can export the citation to your citation library using the pencil tool. Back on the Start page, the tile with Trends and Innovation contains the reference library titles, which focus on hot topics in synthesis. The methodology, rather than the functional group, is the focus here. These can be browsed in the same way using the Explore Contents tab. You can get a brief overview of what is in a chapter by looking at the abstract, and you can also download chapters directly from the Explore Contents tab. The reference library are also mainly focused on synthesis, but not exclusively. They also give background and introductory information on principles and practices. For example, in the photocatalysis volume, there is discussion on the principles of photocatalysis, but also practical aspects on how to choose a light source, what filters you might need, reaction setup, or how it can be applied. As Science of Synthesis is an electronic resource, you can also do text searches or structure and reaction searches. To do a more targeted search on the homepage, you can do a text search in the box at the top. So let's search for pyrosols and click Submit. This takes you straight to the Results tab where you see your hit list, which is sorted by relevance, which is the default, or by publication date. Here you have a review from 2002 and an update from 2017. You can also search by concept rather than type of molecule. So let's search for enantioselective aziridination. Here again you see discussion text comparing the various reagents, along with a scheme and table showing the scope of the reaction and representative procedures. If you want to search by author name, this can also be done in the text box. On the Results tab, you can then filter by whether the name appears in the references, within the discussion text, or whether the chapter was written by that person. You can also do structure or reaction searches in Science of Synthesis. Remember to clear the text box if you only want to do a structure search. The structure search uses Marvin.js, which is built in. If you want to, you can also use ChemDraw and draw your structure or reaction there, save as a CDX file, and upload using the File button. Let's search for 3-methyl-indole. There are different options for searching. You can do a smart search, or you can refine it right down to an exact or a substructure search. The smart search is the default, and this contains both exact and substructures, and it also contains closely related molecules or reactions. So we'd recommend using the smart search to start with, as the reactions have already been pre-filtered. Submit to go to the results page, where you will see the bibliographic details, chapter, title, author, etc., and the reaction structure that you've just searched for. You can filter by defining whether you want the molecule you're searching for to be the reactant or product of the reaction, and by what type of match it is, exact, substructure, or similar, which you should be familiar with. The main difference between Science of Synthesis and SciFinder or Reaxys is that the data set in Science of Synthesis is significantly smaller. This is because these are the pre-selected best synthetic methods. The filtering of which reactions are most likely to work has already been done, and not every single example of a reaction or structure has been included. Because of this, we recommend that when you do a structure search, you keep the molecule as simple as possible. Focus on the functional group or groups that you're really interested in, the ones that are most significant to the transformation you wish to undertake, in order to get the best results from Science of Synthesis. For more complicated molecules that you don't want to draw, but still want to do a structure search for, you can use the Name to Structure function in this middle box. This contains around 28 million names and around 13 million structures. For example, let's use 4-aza-indole, which is the trivial name for a pyrrolo-3,2-B pyridine. In the fourth entry, let's show this method of synthesis in context. If you jump from the full text or from the Results tab into the Explore Contents tab, you can see other routes to make this bond en route to an aza-indole, which puts the chemistry into context. Back in the full text, you can navigate to the next method using the arrows on the right, just like you would browse through a book, and you can jump to the next hit from the results page using the arrows on the left. You can also combine structure and text searching. Let's clear the structure editor and draw a triazole and click to submit. To refine this search, go back to the Query tab and add to the text box. Let's add Stetter to view a more focused set of results, showing only instances where triazoles or triazolium salts have been used as catalyst in Stetter reactions. Reaction searches are also possible. Here, a simple reaction transforming a benzyl alcohol into a benzyl fluoride. You can use the common keyboard shortcuts Ctrl-C and Ctrl-V to copy and paste structures within the editor, and Ctrl-Z if you've done something wrong. Submit to go to the results page where you can again filter by the type of reaction. As before, you can go straight into the full text or see the reaction in context by clicking on Show TOC, which takes you to the Explore Contents tab. Useful in this case, as the reaction is shown exactly as it appears in SOS, you can show the single-step reactions and see that the substituents are correct. If you want to specify that you want to make the same benzyl fluoride as your product, but you don't necessarily want to start with the alcohol, then you can do a half reaction. So you get the route from benzyl alcohol like before, but also, for example, a Suzuki-type coupling with fluoroiodomethane, or fluorination of an organometallic compound, or a decarboxylative fluorination, all to make the same benzyl fluoride. The final way to search is a citation search, which is useful if you have a page or section number you want to look up if you've seen Science of Synthesis cited elsewhere. To add functional group abbreviations, click on the bracket symbol, or after drawing the bond, hover over it and press the spacebar. Simply type the functional group in and select it from the list. Click OK and then click on the end of the bond. To create a list of variable atoms at a center, right-click at the end of the bond and from the Atom Properties menu under Change To, select List, Not List and type the elements into the Elements box. To summarize, Science of Synthesis can be searched like a database, but has the full text content of a reference work. It should be viewed as a valuable complement to SciFinder and Reaccess when you're moving into a new area, want to make a new type of molecule, or want to learn the basics about that type of molecule and how best to make it. Science of Synthesis is the best place to start. Science of Synthesis gives you that pre-filtering and gives you the key information you need so that you can plan your synthesis. On the Training and Support tab, you will find further information about Science of Synthesis, case studies showing how others have used Science of Synthesis in their research, and contact links if you have general questions or need help creating your search. Also on the Training and Support tab is a link to teaching resources with direct links to chapters in Science of Synthesis that are useful as a resource for preparing and teaching advanced organic chemistry courses. Please follow us on Twitter or on Facebook and sign up for the newsletter on our website.